Thank you, everybody, for coming. Everybody around this room has something in common. We all live and work with data, and we're all using data. And each of us may use it in a different way, but the challenge that's in front of all of us is trying to figure out how to do all that we do more efficiently. And one of the things that I've been witnessing as I am in the surety business is a transformation from paper-based modeling to more and more online, more and more informational, more and more digital. And sometimes it's really a challenge to get from one method to another. And as I looked around, as I got involved in the energy space, particularly with the building of the smart grid, I recognized how much of a challenge it was from how many touch points there were. When we did the data by design contest that Chris ran, we saw 10 touch points in one interconnection agreement. And each of those 10 touch points literally used the exact same data, except obviously in different systems and for different uses. And as we looked at it, and a lot of people in the any industry, if you can send an address file as easy as you can send any other file, wouldn't that be great? And nobody has any real issue with being able to send and receive a V card or an address card. So why is it we can't come to some agreement on sending a financial file, sending an interconnection agreement, sending whatever it may be, if we can come up with the data sets? And that I thought was going to be no big problem. The AGC, who Farah's indicated she's coming, she'll be here shortly, I hope. AGC has a big standards effort. We have the Smart Grid Interoperability, which is looking at standards for construction. We have a whole bunch of people trying to do it, and I just noticed that nobody seemed to be kind of focused on one sort of simple goal, like a financial statement or something like that. So we've sort of taken it on to see if we can't herd the cats, as I call it, because my feeling was if everybody's sort of in the same room and saw what was going on, that we might actually come to consensus and be able to actually move the ball forward for interoperability at some very basic level. And when I say basic, I mean, I use the address card as my example, but a financial statement is something that is regularly used by people in everyday business, and it's certainly used in building the grid. And if we could figure out how to get just that simple set of information, like financial statement, that might actually be very productive and help us with some of the efficiency challenges we have. So when I saw the data by design contest, and I contacted Rich and Chris, and we were talking to the smart grid folks, we said, well, how about if we tried to make this as an example? Because if we were successful, then that would bring in, as I mentioned, 10 different parties to just one band of information, the financial. So we did that and we lost. And the fact of the matter is,
I wasn't one of the judges.
Oh no, well that's all right. We didn't lose because we got to know Chris more. We got to get engaged with the SGIP folks more. And actually, the whole contest with the data by design, we resubmitted what we had submitted to the XBRL folks, which was a business park. And the fact is, a business park has regular financial information just as much as building a solar park. And so what we showed to the Department of Energy was what we had actually showed to a developer. And it was exactly the same flow of information. It may be a different type of project, but it was still the same information in needs for the insurance and surety and whatnot. So we did with the XBRL-CET is we met in Washington, D.C., November of 2013, where we brought together XBRL, SGIP, AGC, and whatnot, all at the AGC national headquarters. And we came up with the beginnings of XBRL-CET working group with the objective to see if we couldn't influence the direction and influence of data standards toward common, non-commercial adoption of data standards utilizing XBRL. Now, XBRL is part of the financial community now. A lot of companies are filing their financial statements now using XBRL. And our insurance world and the surety world and insurance and finance and all obviously live on financial statements. So I thought that might be a natural place to start with working with interoperability. Then it would be extending off of that with other partners like Accord, which we had a great meeting at the NESPP national meeting here this week, with Accord for synergizing where that information may not be financial, but insurance, to synergize the two standards together so they can work and complement each other. We're working with AGC XML, so the construction nuance can be picked up under that. We're working with another group called Solar Nexus, which has IEP XML, which is dedicated to the solar industry. And that way we can tie in the solar nuances, and the Department of Energy had given them a $500,000 grant to pursue their standard. And then also working with a group actually like Beads, which is trying to, using their term, knit together various standards so that they can complement each other. And so what we wanted to do is kind of work with Beads and work with them all and try to create a synergy so that instead of the siloed approach with everybody working in their own little world, if they could be aware of the bigger picture, we might actually be able to get some common ground and develop the simplicity of sending a financial statement as easy as we send an address file. So everybody around the table here is dealing with data analytics, and in specific, the smart grid and solar data analytics. So for introductions, I wanted to just, if everybody would introduce themselves. And Dwayne's got a presentation he wants to give.
Yeah. So,
That's what you get for going out of the room.
It's that way, not that way.
Oh, yeah.
So you missed my introduction, but you've heard many times.
Please don't stop.
So we're all stakeholders here. And I think one of the things that we'd also like to achieve is, one of the challenges I have is trying to get a standard for the insurance industry, for instance, where who pays for it, who does the development of the taxonomy, who expands it, and who takes this on. So I've sought funding from my insurance companies, from my construction companies, all of which have some degree of interest, but it's always, well, you know, who benefits and why should I have to pay for something that somebody else benefits? So one of the things we'd like to do today, and I think it would be a great objective, is, you know, the Sunshot program provides grant funding, and Amar and Dan are looking to put together a possible funding. And if we left this room with a definition of what we'd like that funding request to look like, so that the answer came back, however it was, from whatever respondents, that allowed the smart grid to actually have those 10 touch points, be able to connect, even if it's as simple as a progress payment or some defined data set that allows the ball to move forward. So the conversation today, I mean, while everybody's kind of concerned about what expectations were today and what was the deliverable, as I shared earlier, I don't have any PowerPoints, I don't have any presentations. It's really a dialogue. I've spoken with everybody in this room. Everybody knows my pitch, but I've only been the one speaking it here and speaking to Mike and speaking to Jonathan. Having everybody in one room actually talk about what they're trying to do and get the objective. I think at the end, and Chris, you gave me the quote, there's $900 billion worth of work related out there to the grid. If we can make a difference, I think that is going to be significant, and that's what the goal is. So if anybody just want to do an introduction and